Hi, my name is Joe Park, and for the next few minutes I want to help you understand what a high-capacity donor is and how you might begin to draw them more actively into the life of your church. Now, the working definition of a high-capacity donor will vary based on the size and demographics of your church. For instance, a church located in a small town with a budget of $150,000 might define high capacity as households whose income exceeds $100,000 a year, thus representing for you a potential tithe of $10,000. A suburban church worshiping over 1,000 persons might choose a definition such as the upper 10% of wage earners, which is an individual that earns $100,000 or greater each year, or a household income of $180,000 or greater. Now, knowing your regular givers personally will give you some sense of their financial capacity. But a rapidly increasing number of churches are using publicly available data to help identify these high-capacity donors, just as their faith-based nonprofit cousins have been doing for years. Let's take a look at the giving of one group of high-capacity donors. U.S. Trust and the Indiana Lilly School of Philanthropy did a study of high-capacity donors. The characteristics of this study group were that households had to have an income of at least $200,000 or greater and accumulated assets, including their home, of $1 million or greater. Now, for this group, the median household income was $350,000. These households gave on average over $29,000 to charity, which is almost 12 times the average household giving in the U.S. As a group, their giving represented 8.5% of their income, which is also much higher than the average church attendance. Now, this would be great news for churches, except this group also divided their giving between, on average, 8 different organizations. Now, almost all churches that I work with today at Horizons conduct wealth screening on their members and regular attenders. One of the great learnings for these churches is that most of the actively attending high-capacity households are not financial leaders in the church. These high-capacity households may be giving away a lot of money, but the vast majority of it is not coming into their churches. The second surprise for these churches is that many of their financial leaders are not actually high-capacity households, but dual-income families who are there because they tithe or give 10% or more of their income to the church. I hope you're asking yourself what can be done about increasing the numbers of high-capacity households into financial leadership in your church. I'm going to get to that, but I want to start by helping you learn a little bit about high-capacity donors' motivations and their characteristics. High-capacity donors are very focused on the transformational impacts of their gifts. When you engage one of these donors who is not already a financial leader in your church, you must be prepared to demonstrate that your church is a better steward of their gifts than the other 7 charities that they're giving to. They're going to focus on the long term, so asking one of them to fill a short-term funding shortfall so that you can pay the bills is probably not a great idea. High-capacity donors are generally not motivated by a sense of obligation to keep your church doors open, but you can grab their attention by telling stories of lives that are being changed by your ministries. When you do, expect them to ask hard and direct questions about your planned outcomes, leadership, and how effectively you're spending the funds that you're already entrusted with. It's also important to know that high-capacity donors want a relationship with the senior pastor and other senior church leaders. You don't need to be afraid to give them your personal cell phone number. These folks are most often very busy and not prone to abusing your time. So how do you go about developing a high-capacity donor that is not already a financial leader in your church? Well, you have an entry point to begin to build relationships. These folks are attending your church and in most cases are already giving to you, just not at the level they have capacity to give. Begin by keeping in mind that their primary motivations when choosing where to invest their relationships are belief in the mission, relationship with staff and other church leaders, and how well the church is stewarding the money it's already been given. You can reach out and begin a relationship with them at any point. But it's important to know that they must first see that you're authentically interested in their well-being and their spiritual journey before trust can be built. High capacity donors are not likely to want to sit in long committee meetings where they have little voice, but they are eager to share their wisdom. So rather than asking them to join a standing committee, look for high impact opportunities where they might help to drive change in your church or one of its ministries. Consider inviting them to mentor a key staff member or to help a new team that's considering a startup ministry. Ask them for their ideas about how the church might be more efficient and effective in its ministry. Some of the most innovative ideas are going to come from this high-capacity donor group who today are sitting on the sidelines. So build relationship with them and get them involved. When trust is built, then you can easily turn the conversation to spiritual matters, including giving. If you need help developing a high-capacity donor program or identifying high-capacity donors with well screening, please go to horizons.net and send us a message asking to have a free conversation with one of our ministry strategists.